The club, open only to white males, where the South End residents of Halifax met to row and sail, and at lunches and on tennis courts is where mayors and judges were made. The only black faces in the place were holding up the trays. They keep telling us that it's changed, but it's still like that these days. There's power in a backslap, reputation in a handshake. It's all in the connections, in that background you can't fake. On the links and at the bar is where the deals take place. It's never true that it's just merit, qualifications, titles, grades. When some people were the members and the rest of us were maids. Most of us aren't in the portraits and disappeared without a trace. You don't need to look up on the walls to see who's always taken space. If you were a woman, you couldn't even keep your name, and it ends the conversation quick if you bring up land claims. They tell us that their history needs to be preserved, of course. Nostalgia for the days where Cornwallis hunted scouts for sport. And if you were Jewish or an immigrant, they kept you out by force, just like now they say those foreign qualifications are unsure. And we can't pretend there's not some people who wish it was like it was before, when some people all in whites ran rackets on the tennis courts. And you didn't hear a peep from our grandmothers cleaning floors. We're still not at the table or behind those thick closed doors. And it's hard to catch up in a generation when they've had 400 years or more, and that white skin privilege is still a powerful passport. We can spend our day upon the links, but still get followed in the store. Jolly good old boys over a port or glass of whiskey. That's where the money was made for centuries in this city. And the help just can't complain if he gets a little frisky. And if you weren't a member of the club, well, then they left you out of history. It doesn't matter your profession. When the cops ask your ID, you can spend the day performing surgery, still get stopped upon the street. People called Masuma Khan an immigrant when she was born in Spryfield. If you're brown and wear hijab, you better keep your eyes peeled. Mixed-race children with the mother being asked if she's the nanny. Type Asian girl into Google and you can't avoid the fantasy. We're told we should be grateful. We're living better than our grannies. Just don't disturb any of the dirt that's hiding in our nooks or crannies. We're told that it's post-racial because of the success of one or two. The boats are mostly filled, but maybe you can squeeze into the crew. And if there's one in that position, that proves discrimination isn't true, and the only thing that keeps us from success must be our attitude. Reconciliation's all the rage. That is, until the bills come due. If you think racism's in the past, you're not paying attention to the news. My grandfather was a genius, a man touched by the muse. Yet my mother and her sisters grew up not affording shoes. If he'd been let into the club, who knows what he would do? How many buildings would be named for him if he'd had a chance to schmooze? I picture my grandmother standing in these rooms, her back unbowed by labor and her knees and hands unbruised, a hymnal in her hand. She knew the words to every tune. She'd say, "Remember, you're a lady. No one stands above of you." And with the ghosts of women like her, space like this is strewn, which is why when I'm invited in, it's words like these I choose. Knowing just one generation back, we'd be here pushing a broom. We've been struggling for space since we came out of the womb. Because everything I got, my ancestors fought for, walked through back doors for, spit in face and hands and knees, scrubbed floors for, every inch I got. My people gave miles for. My people gave their lives for, hung by necks and dragged along their sides for. So don't tell me I don't have a right for what I got, because everything you got, my people died for.